Hello, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. This is Kicking Diabetes Ass with Keto. It is a hot July morning. We are in a heat wave right now. We're in SoCal, so if any of my watchers are from SoCal, I know you can sympathize with me right now. The last couple days, we've been dealing with a lot of heat because our cooler stopped working. And we don't have AC, we have a swamp cooler. So anybody who has a swamp cooler knows just how cool your house gets. But you really notice a difference when it's not working at all. So I was actually gonna make bone broth yesterday, but we're making it today because it's just too hot to turn the oven on. So anyway, let me just turn the camera here and show y'all what I'm doing. So right here, I've got my soup bones, and I got them from my local grocer. You just go to your local butcher, your grocer, just ask them if they don't carry soup bones, ask them what they do with the bones. When they chop take the bones out of the meat, and ask them to save them for you, and they be more than happy to. And they're really cheap. I mean, it's $3 a package. You get these huge bones right here, and there is some fat and meat on here, which is going to make it even more flavorful. So I just took my cast iron skillet, I put a little bit of oil in the bottom here just so it doesn't stick to the pan. And we're just gonna season it with some kosher salt and some black pepper. And then once we start to make the broth is when we'll put all the other seasonings in there, because I like onion and garlic and paprika and all that good stuff. But just roasting it in the oven first is gonna give it that nice dark rich color, which that's how I like my broth, is more of a richer flavor. So anyway, the reasoning behind the bone broth is not only because it's beneficial for keto. You can do bone broth fast. You can use that in replacement for a meal if you don't feel like cooking or just not really that hungry. But if you don't follow Dr. Ken Berry, which I do, you need to, because he is just so full of information, and not necessarily for the keto diet either. If you have any kind of medical issues, you ask the question and he answers them, But him and his wife, Nisha, they go live every Monday on Facebook, and it's also on YouTube. And this last Monday, they're live, somebody had asked a question. Well, she said her ortho said that she was gonna be needing a knee replacement in the next 18 to 24 months. And she said that she's wanting to avoid that, not wanting to get that done because the cartilage is breaking down in her knees. Similar story, the same thing is happening to me. And I noticed about after I turned 30, when I had my third child, my son. And anyway, so I had asked the same question, but he doesn't get to everybody on the live because there's so many people that are streaming and asking questions. And but I was just glad that it was answered. And he said that it can be restored. It can bring, to help build the cartilage back up in your knees and your tendons and everything. He said, but what you should do is buy all the bone-in meat, like chicken thighs with the bones, chicken legs, chicken breasts. It's really hard to find beef bones. I don't know if you guys have, but I mean, you can't find a bone-in chuck roast anywhere. They're all boneless. And I prefer to have the bone in because that's where all the flavor is, for me anyway. But so he says to take all the bones from your meat, put them in a Ziploc baggie, stick them in the freezer. The end of the month, roast yourself some bones, or just do a low simmer bone broth. And he says you just drink that every day. And he says within a year or two, because it's not going to take just a couple of weeks or a couple of months, it's going to take a while to restore the damage. And he says within a year or two, you will start to feel a difference in the cartilage in your knees, because every time I bend at the knees or go to squat or whatever, you hear this creaking, like I can't even explain the noise. And when I first heard it, I asked about it. I went to the doctor and asked him about it, and he said that the cartilage was going out on my knees. And unfortunately, I inherited this from my dad. He had bad knees too. And anyway, so I figured, okay, this is just more incentive for me to drink more bone broth. because you've got all the collagen and everything in there that you need to help restore inflamed joints and restore the cartilage and the ligaments and the tendons and everything in your joints. So, like I said, I went to my local grocer and he had these beef soup bones, and I've actually got my chicken sitting out right now. It's a whole cut up chicken. We're gonna have chicken and sausage for dinner tonight, but I'm gonna save all those bones too and make some chicken bone broth. I have made bone broth before, but now I'm gonna make it more because, you know, I'm 44. I'm not, you know, in a whole lot of pain. It doesn't hurt me to walk, like, but you can hear the popping and the cracking when I walk a lot. So, yeah, so we're gonna get on the bone broth, and I'm just gonna make sure that I make a lot of it and I drink, you know, at least 8 ounces of it, 16 ounces of it every day. So put that in my, somewhere in my fasting, out of my fasting window when I'm eating. So I'll have to fit it in somewhere. But anyway, so we're just gonna season this up. I got the oven preheated at 350. And we're gonna roast this for a couple of hours just to get it all nice and dark and flavorful. And then once we do that, we're gonna put that in a pot of water and make some broth. So we'll be back. Welcome back, y'all. So it has been 2 hours since they were baking in the oven, and correction, they were at 325, not 350. But I'm just gonna show you what they look like right here. And they've been cooling for a little while, so I can touch the pan. Anyway, we're just going to take these now. I have my big stock pot right here. We're just gonna put these in the pot. And we're gonna fill this about halfway with water, and then we're just gonna set it on the stove. We're gonna throw in some garlic powder, onion powder, maybe a little more salt and pepper, some paprika, and then we're just gonna do a low boil, and we're gonna do that until I like the color of it. So anyway, we will be back in just a little while. Okay, y'all, so here it is. I turned it up to boiling. It's not as dark and rich as I wanted it to be, but there wasn't a whole lot of meat on these. There was more fat, but we will take it. So anyway, I've got my jars over here, and I'm getting ready to put those in the oven so we can can this stuff. So we'll be right back. One more thing. Forgot to tell you guys how to do the canning if you don't already know. So I have all my jars here in a baking dish so that they don't slide around. But you're gonna put them in a 250-degree oven for about 30 minutes. You want them to get nice and hot, or up to 250 degrees. And then we'll go from there. Okay, y'all, so I got the jars out of the oven. They are hot. And we've got the bone broth ready to go. I've got the lids right here sitting in some warm water. We want the lids to be nice and warm. I've got my funnel here. And then a strainer, of course, because, you know, we're going to strain this a little bit. Now I have 4 32-ounce jars here. But for some reason, I don't think they're going to be enough. So I did the smaller jars as well. It's hard to find jars these days because everybody wants to do canning, so I have not been able to stock up recently, but we will see. So we're just gonna go ahead and fill the rest of these jars, and we'll see you back here in just a few minutes. Okay, so I still have a little bit left here in the bottom. I don't know if you can see it without me spilling it all over. But I probably got at least one more of these big jars worth, but I don't have enough lids. I thought I had enough, but apparently I've been canning more than than I thought. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and take this funnel off right here. Now we're gonna take the lids out and we're just gonna dry them off. We're gonna go ahead and take this funnel off right here. Now we're gonna take the lids out and we're just gonna dry them off.
I'm just gonna set them right on top. Okay, once we get all these lids on here, then we're gonna band them.
Okay, y'all, so we've got them banded. And right now we just want to tighten up the lids because they're just kind of sitting on there. We want them as tight as we can get them. Usually my husband does this for me. Ow, jar is hot. Whew, these lids get hot. Okay, last one. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to flip them upside down. This is what's going to help them vacuum seal. Over a little bit. So we're going to let these sit upside down for about 5 minutes. And we'll be back. Okay, y'all, so it's been actually over 5 minutes, so we can flip these back over. So we're just gonna flip them back over and put them back in the pan here so that they can vacuum seal. And we'll just leave them sitting in the pan. Usually takes about 30 minutes for them to vacuum seal, but we're just gonna leave them here until tomorrow. I don't know if you can see this. Let me scooch this over. But the tops of the jars are popped up and they'll start singing to you. You'll hear it, they'll ping. And the button here will be down inside. So anyway, this is it. This is the bone broth, canned and everything, ready to go. Just word of advice, make sure you got enough lids for next time. So anyway, thank you all for watching my channel and we'll see you next time. Bye.